Welcome. It's Facts You Don't Know. If it's your first time here and you want to find out new facts that will definitely make you smarter and more, well, and first make sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything.
Just under 2 decades ago, Kevin Taylor's life changed forever as he was forced to move around by wheelchair. Yet Kim Didway could see past his disability to the man underneath. But as their wedding day approached, Taylor kept a big secret from his wife-to-be. Then when he revealed what he was hiding, she was driven to tears. From the moment that Taylor first laid eyes on Didway, he supposedly knew immediately that he loved her. But there was a potential obstacle to overcome. Although he'd never allowed his disability to hold him back, could she see beyond his wheelchair? Would Didway feel the same about him? However, Didway had noticed him. And more than that, she could see beyond his handicap and through to the man he was on the inside. She too was smitten, and so it would take more than a wheelchair to come between her and the man she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. It wasn't long before the couple decided to get married. After all, when you know, you know. And there was apparently no doubt in Taylor and Didway's minds that they wanted to be together forever. Very quickly then, planning for the wedding got underway. However, there was something that Taylor had kept hidden from Didway. As Didway threw herself into preparations for the wedding, Taylor's attention was elsewhere. In fact, unknown to his soon-to-be wife, he was having secret liaisons. Unable to hide it any longer, he came clean on their wedding day about what he'd been doing. And when he revealed all, Didway broke down and cried. Taylor hadn't always needed the use of a wheelchair to get around. For much of his life, he had full use of his legs and could move around freely. However, Taylor had a freak accident one day, and although it seemed a mild one at first, things changed dramatically soon after. Taylor had managed to break his leg. Now, anyone who's broken their bones can confirm that it hurts quite a lot. However, emergency rooms deal with broken bones on a regular basis. Indeed, it's a common injury that often requires straightforward treatment and only several weeks to recover. Of course, there can be complications depending upon the severity of the injury. Sometimes more serious breaks will require more specialized treatments, and therefore slowed down healing times. Nevertheless, it's typically an injury that patients can make a full recovery from. For Taylor, however, things didn't work out that way. The human body is a complex machine, and even though science has learned a lot about it, there are still a number of unknowns. Indeed, the body can sometimes behave in ways that even trained medical professionals don't quite have an explanation for. Taylor's injury, then, was not a straightforward one. Taylor was young and apparently otherwise healthy. Nevertheless, his broken leg took more time to heal than expected. So when effects of the injury endured for longer than the normal recovery period for a straightforward break, doctors looked into what was causing the problem. What they found was something they hadn't anticipated. Doctors discovered that Taylor had developed an unusual condition called reflex sympathetic dystrophy, RSD. Although RSD is a common name for the disorder, it's not actually a term still in use by doctors today. Indeed, RSD is a name that was once applied to a type of complex regional pain syndrome, CRPS. The sympathetic nervous system controls the movement of blood around the body, which in turn helps to regulate blood pressure and heart rate. Although doctors are unsure of the cause of RSD, they believe that it stems from issues with the sympathetic nervous system. This then manifests itself as pain in the body. RSD can be triggered by strokes or heart attacks, but sometimes it can derive from what seems like a straightforward injury like Taylor's broken leg. When damage does occur, though, the sympathetic nervous system signals blood vessels to contract and reduce the flow of blood at the location of the wound so that minimal blood is lost. However, in cases of RSD, the sympathetic nervous system gets confused. Typically, blood vessels return to normal to allow blood to reach a wound and fix the damage. But with RSD, the sympathetic nervous system kicks into action when it detects an injury, but won't switch off during the healing process or after recovery. Taylor's friends paid tribute to how he handled what was no doubt a major change in his life. One observed, "The main remarkable thing about Taylor is that he never complained despite what happened to him." But as Taylor was working his way through his new life, suddenly it changed again. As soon as Kim Didway walked into the room, Taylor knew she was the woman he wanted to marry. As he described to Fox 34, "The first time I saw her, it was love at first sight. But as mentioned, with a wheelchair comes obstacles. Was it one that Didway could overcome? Didway remembers the very moment that she first saw Taylor. As she recalled, "I walked in, he turned and had a grin from ear to ear." But it wasn't just that she merely noticed the man. Indeed, it seems that his strong feelings about her were mutual. As she explained, it was an instant connection. Aware that Didway wasn't concerned about his disability, one of Taylor's friends explained, "Taylor being in a wheelchair, it never fazed Didway one bit. And it's a situation that wasn't lost on Taylor himself." As he described, "She looks at me as though I'm not in a wheelchair. She looks past that point." As Didway explained, "Taylor's wheelchair doesn't bother me because it's the person on the inside that matters, not who they are physically. And his heart makes up for any lack of limb that he has. He's the most amazing human being I've ever met in my entire life." Soon then, Didway and Taylor were planning their wedding. After spending many years in a wheelchair, Taylor had seemingly come to terms with the disabilities and limitations. Nonetheless, Didway may have encouraged him to make a change to his circumstances. Indeed, it seems that he received some extra motivation to learn to walk again using a prosthetic leg. Indeed, Taylor's goal was to make Didway's wedding day the highlight of her life. And by the shock on her face, as tears of joy flowed down her cheeks, it was clear it would undoubtedly be an unforgettable one. There they both stood, face to face for the first time. "From here on, I'm going to be out of this wheelchair," Taylor declared to Fox 34. Indeed, although Taylor never let his disability affect his positive attitude, now he could push himself beyond the confines of his wheelchair. There was nothing to hold him back from living his life to the fullest. However, if there's a lesson Taylor's learned from his experience, it's to never take anything for granted. As he told Fox 34, "Live every minute of every day like it's your last." Indeed, with a positive attitude and love on your side, there's little that can't be overcome. Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as we can.